Hello, this is Joe. Welcome back to the channel.
Well, good day, everybody. Hey, I'm in downtown Albuquerque, and my friend Ethan has invited me to a gallery exhibit. This is supposed to be the last day of the exhibit, and it involves Polaroid emulsion lift transfers and slices of cheese. I know that sounds strange, and I don't really understand it myself, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. Well, I think we're going the right way. There's the address.
Okay, for Joe Van Cleve's channel, my name is Chloe Dichter. I am a third-year candidate in photography at the University of New Mexico. This is my thesis exhibition called Nosh, and my practice has revolved around using these images that I inherited from my family 7 years ago. And as you can see here, at least with this specific example, I am using just Polaroids that are from my family's archive, and I am printing them directly onto craft cheese. So out of both humor and convenience, I refrigerate the whole album. It goes into the fridge, and so when I pull it out and it's on view, it's cold to the touch. It's always been sort of something I've wanted to do, is make images that are temporary, and playing with this aspect of photography even being more temporal than it already is. So just like leaning into that, taking something that I want to archive, but inevitably it's not archivable because it is on craft cheese. But this is the second round of images I've done. The first round I made about a year ago, and they still exist. So craft cheese is packed with preservatives, which is something I'm already interested in my practice, is like how to preserve history, how to preserve memories, and how to preserve photography. But leaning into that and kind of pushing against that and literally not preserving it at all. So the images do mold over time. These are about a month old, so they're still somewhat intact, but over time they morph and kind of change and shape. But at the end of the day, they're all unique objects and they're all different. But there's about 20-ish craft cheese in this album. And I was also thinking about what are the ways in which photography kind of exists in domestic spaces, which is photo albums. And also photo albums are almost antiquated at this point. I feel like the newer generation doesn't, a lot of them don't have prints in a photo album and what the significance of what print photography does. So it felt important to like sort of talk about that gesturally with craft cheese. So I'm taking a Polaroid, like the Polaroids from like the 70s. So they're literally to scale, which is also interesting. The Polaroids are the exact same size as craft cheese. They are 1-to-1, which was something I never thought about, is like the parallels between craft cheese and Polaroid, both mass produced at one point. Formally, there was a lot of sort of similarities between them in shape and color and size. But I am actually doing image transfers onto the craft cheese using the Polaroid. I'm not doing a Polaroid lift. I did Polaroid lifts on other things throughout time.
So you transfer the dyes onto the cheese. Okay, that's so cool.
So that is what ultimately these are. Yeah, and a lot of the people, some of them I know, some of them I don't, you know. But at the end of the day, like I am related to these people. And it's really bizarre to look at photographs of my ancestors or immediate family members and feel like I'm looking at a picture of myself.
What other works can we see here that you've done that's photographically?
I also have other image transfers. These are done on corned beef and pastrami. So I can pick one up so you can kind of see it a little bit more legibly. That's my grandmother Dolly, who's printed on corned beef. And I printed specific portraits kind of based on what their deli meat preferences were. So Dolly loved corned beef, Franklin loved pastrami, and these other ones they were made at the same time period, but because I've had them out on display, I don't use any preservatives. I just let them sort of rot purposefully. And so this is what happens, kind of like a before and after of them over time. So, yeah, I mean, for about 5 years, I've been printing onto food. That was just something I've been doing for a long time. I was doing cyanotypes for a while, silver gelatin prints onto food. And then I was transferred over to image transfers for a full color sort
Very
of
cool.
image.
And then this big mural here, this big photo.
Yeah. This is a picture of my great-grandparents, named after my great-grandmother, and it's them going at it at a buffet at my dad's bar mitzvah in 1971. And it was just kind of this gorgeous image full of color and life, and it talked about all these things I'm interested in when it comes to like community and consumption and celebration. It kind of had everything in one image. So
Cool.
It felt important to have the image take up a lot of space. And for it to kind of not necessarily be a wallpaper, but be this huge fragmented image in the space amongst other fragmented images.
Yeah.
So, is the slide projector before? Kind of like this is the. I have several carousel ones, but I decided for the ease of this one. There is a company in San Francisco that takes any photograph. It could be an iPhone photograph and turn it into a 35mm flop. So this company helped me make these photos. So. Really? But then also once I was in here, I was like, I want my photography to also respond to the architecture. So doing stuff where like trying to integrate like photographs seamlessly or very obviously into the architecture was important too. Right. So kind of gestures like that or gestures with the frame. So once I came in here, I was like, oh, I want to cut a frame 3/4 of the way through and finish the image on the other side of the window. So different things like that, just like being in this very unique space. It was built in 1890, so it's like really old.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's also important is that like the space has its history, the photographs have their history,
Right.
as do the objects. It's important that they're found objects. I'm not making spoons and I'm not making the iron. It's
Right.
not about that. It's about finding these things that have previous histories. So.
Chloe, thank you very much for showing me
You
your
got it.
exhibit. Congratulations
Thank
on the
you so
exhibit.
much. I
Good luck
appreciate
on
it.
it, and look forward to seeing more creative work of yours.
Thank you. I hope you do.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye.
Take care.
Yep. Well, so we decided that there's got to be a place for lunch, right, in downtown Albuquerque, and so, hey, guess what? Yes, that's right. It's the Doghouse, featured on what is that TV series, Ethan?
I got that dog in me with Joe Van Cleve.
He's got the dog in him. The Doghouse, featured on Breaking Bad. This is not a Breaking Bad tour video, but you can't avoid it sometimes. So there's your Doghouse. Are you getting the dogs or are you getting the burgers?
I didn't know they made burgers.
I don't know if they do either. So now we have to ask these two art critics what they thought of the exhibit. Can you start with Ethan?
Yeah, it was nice. It was cool to see somebody put in that much work into something that will just like disappear. Basically for like, I don't know how many people went to go see it, but I only know 3 of them in the universe. So it's like a lot of work to give us something like very special and unique that I have not seen before that like actually has some like conceptual interest. It was great. To be honest, I wish the cheese were actual emulsion transfers and not dye transfers. There were a couple spots where, like, technically, I think it could have been more interesting, if not better. Right?
Yeah.
Like, who could have better is unrotting meats, for Christ's sake. But I loved it. It really spoke to a lot of my own family history and culinary traditions. My grandpa, after World War II, which we've talked about plenty, had a photo studio on 42nd Street. It was called Eastern Studios, and his company shot like a lot of those photos. Not usually on Polaroids, like medium format film, like weddings, bar mitzvahs, sweet 16s type of thing. And I have my parents are long divorced, but I got their wedding album, and it is in that style, right? And so it was talking to me about photo process, which I love, and put a ton of work into its own vernacular of photo process, right? But then also just with some family memory stuff about being an Ashkenazi Jew and eating those foods, but also family memories around photography, and I loved it. A+. Want to see the next one.
And Dr. Jeremy.
They get invited to cool things, but I only have one question. Where's the cheese, Gromit?
Well, we're at the Doghouse, and we're waiting for our food, and one of us got a dog, right? You ordered
I got a dog.
And Ethan and I got burgers, so there you go. All right, well, from West Albuquerque, West downtown Albuquerque, this is Joe Van Clee with Dr. Germs, Dr. S70 on Instagram, and Ethan Moses. Stay creative and have yourselves a great day. Bye bye for now.